Hello everyone, it's Miranda here, and I wanted to show you a quick glimpse of how I am prepping this wall over here. I'm going to be using the new Iron Orchid Decor stamps and a ton of other items, the roller, paintbrushes, and all kinds of things. But to prep my wall, I went a little crazy and decided to cover it with book paper. So I wanted to show you guys how I did that up close before I add any of the stamps to it. I took my favorite book, The Cosmos, and I just inked the edges with branch bark. And I'm using 3D matte gel, which I put in this container here, and I watered down quite a bit to get it to be quite milky. That way it would spread evenly. So I am just literally decoupaging as if you would decoupage anything else, and I'm going all the way around my wall with it. So I will show you guys the finished product when it is done, and then I will take you guys along the process of me using the stamps and the rollers and everything else. So this is what we have so far. This is our canvas, and I can't wait to get started. Hello everybody, it's Miranda here, and I'm going to be sharing with y'all how I'm going to alter the room that leads to my scrapbook room. I've been doing a series of tutorials using the new Iron Orchid design products for the, home decor, their home decor range. Let me go ahead and say, for the record, I am not a typical home decor furniture restorer in any aspect, any sense of the word. I just do what I like, and I alter items all the time. So I'm basically just trying to transfer that over into my scrapbook room and make it the way I like it. Okay, so I don't know which order I'm going to upload tutorials in, but I did go ahead and cover the lining wall with book paper, and I do have a tutorial on that. Okay, and I painted this entire wall, the door and the frame, white. So what I'm going to do on the edge here is I'm going to use one of the new roller stamps to fill that in, and then here, and I am not a perfectionist in any sense of the word, but I did measure my center part of the door, and I'm going to use some beautiful Iron Orchid Designs stamps in the center there. Okay, so I wanted to show you over here the ones I'm going to be using. This is going to show you better than anything. This is the acetate sheet that comes in it. Let me move it over here. My desk is literally covered, as you can see, with tools because I have been working non-stop on this. So I'm going with this design right here, this exact design. I think I'm going to do the crown in the center anyway. If I end up changing it, I'm not quite sure, but that's going to go up and down my entire wall. And then I'm going to, the two inks that I got to play with were a mix of the stone and the warm gray, and both of these bottles were about half empty. I wanted to go ahead and get started on this. I didn't want to wait, so Sharon just kind of sent over what she had. And this is the color of the two of them kind of mixed, and I actually really like the mixture of the two better. Plus it will stretch out my colors. I put a little bit of ink in this little tin pot about a week ago, and it is still wet. So this ink will stay wet as long as it's on a non-porous surface, okay? So I'm going to mix these two together, and then I will come back and we will get started on the edge of my door. Okay, excuse any shakiness because I am holding this with my hand. There's no way to really put the tripod over here with all the stuff I have in the way. So these are the two rollers I have, and of course I'll have all the links and the descriptions of each product in the bar down below and on my blog as well. So I've used this one on the previous tutorials, this larger one, and this one just so happens to fit the trim of that door perfectly. So that's what we're going to use. So what you're going to do, and if I say anything that is different than what Josie and Sally have said on their blog, or Prima, please go by their instructions, because like I said, I am definitely not an expert. I'm just doing what works for me. So you're going to load up this sponge with some of this ink, and it really does not take a lot. I'm just going to make sure the whole thing has just got a little bit of coverage on it, and I'm going to kind of roll it a little bit and add some more on there. You do not want to add too much. And one thing I noticed for sure is when you're applying these rollers, you don't want to put a ton of pressure because these have a lot of natural texture to these stamps. And if you're rolling them, and you're pushing too hard, you're going to lose that. It's going to kind of start to glide across your surface, which is not a good thing. So definitely just take a light touch when you are rolling these. And I like to test a spare area out before I go on to my work surface, so we will do that too. So I'm going to finish loading the sponge and then we will get started. Okay, we've got our entire sponge loaded up with color, and as you can see, as you start to roll, it's going to start transferring onto the surface of your stamp. Okay, so you're going to want to roll it back and forth a few times just to get that ink nice and completely covered on there, and it really does not take much. This stuff stretches a long way. Okay, so what you're going to do, I'm going to show you on here before I put it on the board, and I'm doing this one-handed, mind you, so if it's not perfect, that's why. So you just start and you're just going to apply even pressure and roll all the way upward, and it's that easy. I mean, that was super simple. So now we're going to do the edge of my door. Okay, everybody, we are on to the next step, and I'm going to be stamping my door with these decor stamps. And how I lined these up on the ginormous block that you get, I mean, this thing is huge, just perfect for all of these stamps. And I really like the design that was on the acetate, so I basically just lined it up underneath it and then got it in the exact same spot that the one on the acetate was. So this gives you a really good guide if that's the look you're going for. Okay, so after that I just used a regular paint roller, and excuse my shakiness, and I am just rolling the paint on here. This is the stone gray, and excuse me if I'm a little shaky. Trying to do this all one-handed is a little hard. So I'm just rolling it on here. I don't want a ton, but I want enough on there so I get a good impression. I mean, the whole thing about this is it's going to be sanded and more ink applied and distressed, so distressed is fine with me. Okay, so I have my center lines marked over here. So I'm just going to line them up with my lines here. And then I'm going to use this line here in the center of the acrylic block to match up with my center line, if that makes sense. I'll show you up close. So I'm going to line this line up with that line, that way I know my first row is perfectly centered every time. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of rock it. I'm going to kind of line it up like this. Make sure that's centered, yep. And then I'm just going to kind of rock it downward, making sure lined up, which I am. Okay, so I'm going to put it on here just like this, and I'm just going to apply even pressure all the way around. I can tell I've already gotten pretty good contact, but just to make sure this huge acrylic block is perfect.